lost my way, stumble around all day. I try to stand up straight, but...
Hi, and welcome to Talking with Giants. Really appreciate you being here. It's always great to have you join us. I like to start these shows the exact same way every time, and that's with my pre-event prayer. So here it goes. Lord, allow the words that we share today to positively impact 100% of the lives in this audience in one way, shape, or form. Only you know who you sent here to hear this message. Allow us to do the best we can to deliver that message, be a vehicle, and of service to you. See, that's all we can ever really control is a high intention and a low attachment. A high intention of imparting something good here today. A low attachment as to what that might mean or what that might be for you. But I know you're going to get some great nuggets because we got a great guest today. Tom Ziglar is the proud son of Zig Ziglar, and he's now at the helm of the Ziglar Corporation. Ziglar has been inspiring, encouraging, and equipping people for over 40 years. They understand that life is tough, and they believe 100% that it's not what happens to you in life that determines your success, rather how you respond to it and how you make that work. A positive attitude alone will not do anything for you, but it will make everything a whole lot better than if you have a negative one. Tom, welcome to Talking with Giants.
Scott, it's great to be here. We've known each other a long time.
I know. It's
so the fact that you know me is even a greter honor that you would have me here.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. We spent some great time together. I know that we've shared the story before, but your dad, I read "See You at the Top" for the first time when I was 17 years old, just a few years ago, not long ago. But there was one quote in that book that really set a direction in my life. You can have anything in life you want when you simply help enough other people get what they want. I didn't even know how much, direction that gave me at the time. But that's why it's so fun to now have you as a friend. And man, what was it like growing up with Zig?
Well, I tell you, growing up with Dad was, it's the only thing I know, but it's absolutely amazing. His ability to, I'll tell you what a friend of mine said. He said, Tom, your dad's a really good talker. And he walks his talk.
Yeah.
And so as good as Dad was on stage, he was even better at home. I mean, the example that he gave us, his love for Mom, how he spent time with me, developed those relationships. And at the same time, he wasn't at home. He wasn't like he was in public. He was an introvert at home. He loved having his legal pad, writing notes, thinking. But when it came time to have dinner, play golf, spend time with the family, he was all in. So Dad, whatever he was doing, it was 100%.
Well, even the last lunch that he and the redhead, Jean, your mom, and Julie and I had together, he kept on pulling out pens. And he'd look at me and he says, you know why I got these, right? Because there's always a book ready to happen.
That's right.
So that had to be really something to have that influence. How did that influence you, growing up?
Well, Dad told me from a very early age, he never put any pressure on me to do a certain thing, to follow him in sales or speaking or anything like that. He didn't have that kind of pressure. What he told me is he said, son, whatever you do it with 100% integrity and 100% effort. And so that takes the burden off. That takes the pressure off of choosing what you're going to do. Because sometimes, in a family situation, our family's always done this, you're going to do this. You're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a farmer, you're going to be whatever. In our family, it wasn't that way. It was God's principles. It was how do you treat people. It's that whole quote, you can have everything in life you want. That quote's been very meaningful to me the last few weeks. As you know, there's so much going on in our society, police officers being shot and those kind of things. And it just reminds me that the golden rule is really going to be the answer to this. If we go out seeking justice, and people have been wronged on all sides, and there's hurt feelings, and there's real cases on all sides. But if we go out seeking justice, it's going to be hard to come to the middle. But if we go out seeking to give justice, to be justice, to treat others like we want to be treated, if both sides, all sides come together with that, then we've got hope. And so that's what I love about what we do as a business, because our message and our mission and our ministry are now more needed than ever before.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. That's why I appreciate the relationship that we have both as friends, but also professionally. You know, I've mentioned on other shows that I've had the opportunity to present at the Monday morning devotionals. And I know that Zig started that long before I was involved, for sure. But I know that he always said that was the most important meeting of the week. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, the Monday morning devotional, we've actually been doing it for 40 years now. And in fact, Lori Majors was Dad's personal assistant for 35 years. She's still with us, 39 years now. So
wow.
we actually had this discussion last week. And Dad always would say at that meeting, like you just said, is that Monday morning, this is the most important meeting we'll have in this business all week. And he believed that. And the thing that I learned from that meeting is Dad would come, and he would sit on the front row, and through the years we had different buildings, and sometimes we'd have 40 or 50 people in that meeting. We'd have a guest speaker, and it didn't matter if the guest speaker was 22 years old or 82 years old. Dad would have his pen and notepad out. He'd be taking notes. And then at the end of the meeting, he'd close it the same way. He'd say, okay, now let's all go sell somebody something. And his point is that we got filled up, we learned, but nothing happens until we sell something. Right. And so in the business world, that makes total sense because our economy only works when we solve problems for other people. That means we transfer an idea, a product, or a service to somebody else. As people who have faith, and that was a devotional around our faith, nothing happens unless we share it, right? Unless somebody else benefits from what we just learned. So that's what he meant by now go sell somebody something.
Well, it's really interesting, a couple different sides as a sales trainer. I think we've even had this conversation. You know, people say, well, what runs the economy? It's the exchange of product, good, or service. If you don't have that, you got nothing.
Right.
Nothing's really started, which is why the title of one of my books is Without Customers, You Got Nothing. If you don't sell something. But it is, the one thing that I get from the devotionals, obviously it's always a pleasure to speak, but there's so many great speakers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and so many folks that come and share. But it is coming there and learning. Same thing. I don't know if I'm as a voracious note taker as Zig was, but you can always learn something from somebody. Isn't that amazing?
It is, and everybody comes with their own story, their own background, their own example. And they also come in the most surprising packages of all. So we've had the best of the best come and do devotionals. We've had Dan Cathy from Chick-fil-A come in. And then we've had people who you've never heard of. And yet they've got a story or a testimony about how their life has been changed in some way. And so you walk out of there filled up. And then it's a great reminder that in our business, when we put first things first, everything seems to work out.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I remember one that I was giving, and I had just turned 55 at the time, and I referred to that quote that I read it when I was 17. Well, somehow in my brain I did the math, and I went, that's 38 years, and all of a sudden I went, holy cow, I'm 4 years ahead. I mean, they were lost for 42 years. I've only been lost for 38. You know, so it's always great. So what do you see as the biggest challenges facing businesses today? I mean, we've talked about faith, and would it help to have more faith in the businesses, or what's the biggest challenge you see?
Oh, there are so many challenges that are facing business today. The things that I get on a regular basis are people are searching for what's their purpose, what's their why. And whether you own a business or you work in a business, there's so much emphasis on what I'm doing. Does what I do matter? And I try to share with people, I want you to write down 3 words, and I'll go through this process. Write down what, why, and how. And we get so fixated on the what I'm doing, my career path, the business that I run. I might be in sales, I might be in support, whatever. That's important, but it's not nearly as important as the why and the how. Your business exists, your career exists for one reason and one reason only. And that's to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. And so, and that's a Howard Partridge quote, who we work with very closely. And so what happens is people don't have life goals. And when you don't have a life goal, when you don't have a vision, a dream, a purpose of what you want to accomplish out of your life, you turn into a zombie. And a zombie is a technical term at Ziglar. The academic term means you're disengaged. You don't care. 70% of the workforce is disengaged. Yeah. One of the favorite talks I give is my zombie talk. And so what are people really facing at business? Employees and owners and everybody in between, they're just wandering aimlessly through life, through business. They don't know why they're doing it. There's no pep in their step. There's no excitement. And so what happens is you get this trickle-down effect. Well, if they don't care, why should I care? And if that's happening on the inside, how are you going to treat your customers on the outside? But here's the thing. At Ziglar, we say this. We're in the transportation business. We help you get from where you are to where you want to go. Now, every business I've talked to is in the transportation business as well.
Right.
They have a product or service, an idea, a concept that can help an individual, an organization go from where they are, unhappy, unsatisfied, to over here being fully satisfied and serviced. Now, when you do that, that's a powerful thing. We start thinking in a different way. One of my good friends, who was also one of Dad's good friends, is Rabbi Lapin. He's got a great quote, and it's this: when we solve problems, we often get rewarded with certificates of appreciation.
Nice.
And we call that money. And, yep. he says this, he says, God is never happier than when we're solving the problems of his children. And so when we get out of ourselves, when we quit wandering around, we have a why or a purpose, and we realize that what we do solves problems for other people, which helps them achieve their dreams. Now we're working for a cause. So we go back to that what, why, and how. If our why is big, right, what we want to accomplish in life, then we're motivated, and then the how of what we do changes everything. I've met people in all walks of life doing all kinds of jobs, and there are some of them who do the how so well that when we get to heaven, we're going to look at them and go, oh my gosh, I had no idea. But yet the way they lived their life changed so many people that they impacted. It had nothing to do with title or role. It was how they did it. So make your why and your how the driving factor. The what will take care of itself.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think that we're in a society right now. I was working with a client last week, the week before, and we were talking about absenteeism was such a major cost to companies. And what we actually started talking about is presenteeism. I'm present, but I'm not doing anything, right? I'm not engaged. And I think that that's a big part of what's happening in our social side as well. You know, somebody says, you know, I mean, all of a sudden you see what we've seen here in Dallas and Baton Rouge and Kansas City and the things that we've been talking about, unfortunately, not to get down that path too far. But if there's no end game, if your life isn't worth anything, if you have no purpose, what are you here for, right? I mean, so unfortunately, without hope, people perish, right. You know. And it's one of the things, I think sometimes people think that, you know, as we started talking with Giants TV, that it was really all about having a TV show. It's not. It's about trying to serve at least one more person on a consistent basis. And if we can do it with many more people, that's even better.
Right.
But how do we get to more people? That kind of gets us into the legacy. You know, your dad was so prolific, so amazing, was fortunate to share the stage with him a number of times many years ago, but learn from him and never realized how much I learned. How do we pass that on to the generations? Why is legacy so important?
I think there's a couple of things we really got to look at. And at Ziglar, what I'm most proud of is that when we teach and train our principles and our philosophy, we talk about success and significance. Right. Our quick definition of success is having more of the good things that life has to offer. Now, Dad was famous. He created this wheel of life, and it has 7 spokes on it: the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the family, the financial, the career, and the personal. When you look at those 7 things, which one of those 7 spokes did God create you to not be successful in?
All, you know.
Yeah, we're created to be successful in all 7.
Of them. Right, exactly.
Right? But we get negative information. We grow up in a hard situation. Circumstances are tough. The world's not fair. We know that. And so we start buying into it. Well, you know, success is for them. Or the other side of the coin is we get a worldly definition of success, which is money or power or influence.
Right.
And if we knew that was the way out, then there would never be suicides among, famous people and people with a lot of money. And so we've got to have the proper definition of success, which is, I believe, I love this definition, it's the maximum utilization of the gifts that God gave you, right? The abilities that we have. So success, the fruit of success, or what we get out of it, is having more of the good things that life has to offer. Significance is a whole other thing. Significance is when you help someone else be, do, or have more than they thought possible. So take success, take significance, add them together, and you get a new word, and it's called zignificance.
Nice. I like that.
We love that.
Well, it's interesting. It's like you're reading my notes here, but one of the quotes that I pulled from the site today is, success is not measured by what you're compared to others, what others do. It's measured to what you do with the ability God gave you.
Right.
And that's really it. Again, I remember been blessed to know and be a friend of Nick Vucicic. Right. And Nick made a
That's easy for you to say.
It's really not. It's a lot of practice. But, he said one time, I want to make sure that when I go up, that there are a lot of people there because of me, right? And well done, my good and faithful servant. And I know that was part of your dad's memorial, right, as well. I just want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant.
I love that. In fact, at Dad's memorial that we did, the day before, one of my daughter's friends sent me a text. Now, Dad was famous. Whenever you talk to him, you'd say, "How are you doing?" He'd always say, "Better than good."
Right.
Didn't matter the circumstance, situation. He'd say, "Better than good." And so she sent me this text, "Mr. Ziglar, I'm so sorry you lost your father. I bet when he went to the pearly gates, he was met, and the Lord said, 'Better than well done.'"
Oh, sweet.
My good and faithful servant. So when you say that, awesome. I love that.
Well, so again, one of the things that he imparted on me without ever knowing it, when somebody asked me, "How you doing?" my natural answer is fabulous, but I'll get better.
Right.
Well, what I realized a while back is that's a direct parallel to hearing Zig do that all that time, without saying, I want to say better than good, right?
Well, actually, you were very close, because in the 70s and 80s, probably when you started listening to him, he used to, when people would ask him, "How are you doing?" he would say, "Super good, but I'm getting better." And then he changed it to "better than good" the last 15 years of his life.
Wow.
So it's in there.
It is. Well, that's the why I love doing this. And again, I'm just a guy who's got a desire to see people do better.
Right.
So growing up in this has got to be so cool.
Well, what we just demonstrated right here is the number one lesson that I learned from Dad. My favorite quote of Dad's was, "You are what you are and where you are because of what's gone into your mind, and you can change what you are, and you can change where you are by changing what goes into your mind." And so input is the number one lesson if we control our input. And so there you were, driving around in the car, working on your speaking, hearing him from the back of the room, and you heard him out in public venues saying that, and it became part of who you are. So that is the number one lesson. That's a biblical truth as well. I mean, all through the Scripture, it talks about what we put in, what we consume, knowing God's heart, writing it on our heart and in our mind changes everything.
Yeah, very, very true. Well, that's why it's so important to share the legacy and keep it going. So how does it feel to have that mantle passed? There's no pressure there, right?
Yes. Well, that's an interesting thing, because I struggled with the pressure. I struggled with, wow, that's a huge burden. And then somebody told me, they said, "Look, your dad's legacy is secure. He's gone, right? He left his legacy. So it's not his legacy that you're burdened with. It's your own legacy. And how cool is it that I get to pick up and have such a head start? But if I mess up, they're not going to judge Dad. They're going to judge me. And so really, I've got the same pressure as everybody does.
Yeah.
So let me give you a legacy illustration, a difference between success and significance. And this is a business example, because you and I have been in this situation 100 times. We've got a buyer, it could be a business owner, VP of sales, and what we want to do is do a training program for their organization. Maybe it's sales training.
Right.
And the buyer's there, and we say to the buyer, if we go ahead and put this program in, what would you want the result to be? And they're going to say, oh, our sales are going to go up. We're going to hit our goals. Then you start asking the why questions. Why do you want sales to go up? Oh, well, if sales would go up, we'll have more revenue, more money, we'll get bonuses, more job security. Well, why do you want that? Well, more job security, more bonuses, more money, I can pay off my debt. Well, why do you want to pay off your debt? Oh, well, if I could pay off my debt, I can get the lake house. So now it becomes personal. Then you ask the next question, why do you want the lake house? Oh, because then my kids and grandkids will come and I can play with them. That's a success question, though. It's a good one, but it's still success. Why do you want to play with your grandkids? So that I can build a relationship with them, teach them principles and values and God's wisdom, so that they'll make good decisions through life, and so that my legacy will ripple through eternity.
Awesome.
That's the difference between success and significance. Success is more good stuff. We're all for success. But let's go to significance and transfer wisdom, God's principles and values, so that our children and our grandchildren will make decisions that will ripple through eternity.
Yeah, I think that's fabulous from the standpoint of we've got an opportunity. I think there comes something when we become more mature. That's code word for old. When we become more mature, we've got a desire to serve more and to share more and to pass it along. I know my pride in my kids grows every day. And the older I get and the older they get, the cooler it is.
Right.
And just introduced my daughter to some folks the other day, and they were just like, boy, you got a great daughter. And I got an amazing son too. I'm just saying, but it was the
pride.
Wow, that is so cool that I had a little part in that. She's got a lot. Anyway, so I know you and I talked about how to pass the legacy down. What are some of the things you're doing at Ziglar to really make sure that this legacy reaches these generations and future?
The thing that I'm most excited about is we have a program. It's called our Ziglar Legacy Certification Program. And what we do is we certify people as trainers, speakers, and coaches to carry on and to teach this material, this content that we've been teaching for 40 years. We now have almost 200 certified trainers around the world, 14 different countries. And they come in for a full week, and we train them, and we give them all the material. And really, the people who are coming they're the salt of the earth, the coolest people, because they know that they are called and can have an impact in other people's lives. We're talking about significance again, or what I'm calling zignificance. If I teach you something, Scott, and you go out and use it, and you write me back or call me, hey, Tom, this is awesome. I closed a sale, or I overcame this. I'm going to be happy. I mean, we're going to high five. If you call me up and say, Tom, I told this to a friend, and they called me 3 weeks later and said it really changed their life, then we're going to do the Snoopy dance together.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is significance. And so the goal with our Ziglar certification is to equip people to go and teach these life-changing materials. And so if those people have a heart and a mind and a soul to practice that golden rule philosophy, you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want.
Yeah, it's so amazingly rewarding when somebody comes back to you and says you made a difference. I was blessed the other day. I got a call from somebody I hadn't talked to in 7 years. And they said, 7 years ago, when I was just starting a business and you didn't really know me, you encouraged me. And I never said anything to you, but it really made a difference. And you just go, golly. That's actually, I put it in my memory. I wrote it down, put it in my memory box. And you know what's on top of my memory box? You can have anything in life you want when you simply help enough other people get what they want. It's it's where I store those things. Because there are times in this industry where you get kicked around, you get down, you get whatever.
Right.
Anyway, it's a great place to go. You need to create a memory box. A few weeks ago, I was at an event, and you were the headliner, you were the keynote, and did just an amazing job. And you were really talking legacy. Man, I think, and I said to you that day, that's you.
Right.
You sharing the importance of legacy is there. That's why I wanted to do the show. What did you gain from that experience?
And for those watching this, if you hear a speaker or a trainer or somebody who is up there doing it and it touches you, make sure you tell them, because I have to tell you, Scott, I felt really good about that presentation, but I had been praying about what's the next chapter? What do I really want to do? And your words of affirmation and confirmation just hit me right at that moment, because I feel like there are so many people who go to bed every night having, quote unquote, the world's success, right? They got a car, a house, they got some money in the bank, and yet they look out and they go, what's next? If I die tomorrow and I leave this inheritance, what are my kids and grandkids, how are they going to handle it? And they get scared. And so what I want to do, what I feel called to do, is to help walk people through that. How do you transfer that wisdom to the next generation?
That's amazing. We're going to do more of this another time. Hard to believe we're out of time. But one of the things that I want to do for everybody is I came to realize that many of you don't understand, or maybe you're new to Talking with Giants and never really understood where it came from. Well, quite frankly, it came from the book that I wrote back in 2006 and 2007 called Talking with Giants. So what I want to do is I want to gift it to everybody. All you have to do is to get a free copy, as it's on the screen there, text Free Giants Book to 972-419-4386. That's my personal number. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, know that we're here for you. God bless. See you soon.
Thank you, Scott. That was awesome.
Hi, Scott Schilling here. A number of years ago, I met Guinness Book of World Records holder, world's fastest reader, Howard Berg. His ability to manage knowledge impressed me. With the amount of information available today and the pace with which it's coming at us, having the ability to read and remember that information is more critical every day. Howard told me that using his techniques, I could double my reading speed in just a few short hours. Initially, I wasn't sure, but if in fact Howard was right, it'd be the best $100 in a couple hours I ever spent. Then Howard made an irresistible offer. Learn it first. Double your reading speed in just a few hours, or you owe me nothing. Now, how can you go wrong? The results have been amazing. I asked Howard if he would pass along that same opportunity to our TWG audience. Emphatically, Howard said yes. To learn more, simply go to twgspeedreading.com. Watch a short introductory video, sign up for the webinar that best fits your schedule, and double your reading speed in just a few hours, or you pay nothing. Now that's a deal worth looking into. twgspeedreading.com.